Something is brewing at the China-Bhutan border. What is it? China excels at provocation and push, with India, with Nepal, with Taiwan, and now with Bhutan possibly. Developments in Bhutan's Jokurlung Valley are concerning. This Maxar satellite images reveal that China is possibly building an incursion into North Bhutan. And that has happened over the past 2 years. Look closely. Nothing seemed to exist in 2021. To 129 residential buildings at least in one settlement, 62 structures in another by the 7th of December 2023. This is not just a territorial claim, but an orchestrated effort by China to seize and settle in this area. The scale and pace of this activity is staggering because residential quarters are just a cover to, in fact, place military structures in and around this valley. Is China expanding physical presence in the Jokurlung Valley that does fall in the Bhutanese territory? Now here's some background for you. Bhutan and China have been holding discussions and negotiations since 1984 over boundary issues. Bhutan has a 400-kilometer-long contested border with China. But just 2 months after China initiated talks with Bhutan to resolve all of these border issues, establish diplomatic relations, this looks like a detour or a U-turn. In October, Bhutanese Foreign Minister Dr. Thandi Dorji visited Beijing for discussions. The tone was optimistic. There was a willingness that was seen to strengthen ties between the two countries. Were the carefully cultivated talks by China a smokescreen? Because that was when perhaps Bhutan thought they are now friends. It lightened up while China started to build infrastructure. Interestingly, however, Bhutanese Prime Minister Lotay Tshering in an interview did not reject the idea of a possible land swap with China to resolve the ongoing border issues. They may have thought this could be a resolution, but maybe China does not want an exchange after all. You may be wondering, this is an issue between two countries, China and Bhutan. Why should India be keen and curious on this? Well, yes, maybe if it weren't so close to India border. China strategically intends to expand into areas which are near the Siliguri corridor, which is a vital lifeline that connects the northeastern states to the rest of India. Thimphu may actually find himself grappling with an established, stronger Chinese presence just 50 kilometers from Bhutan's border, and that is very close to India's Arunachal Pradesh. What if in this land swap idea, Bhutan decides to exchange the Jokurlung Valley area for China's claim on the Doklam Plateau? It's just a thought and anyone's guess what it may have as repercussions on India. Remember, China is known for its incremental expansion, which is also called the salami slicing, cutting off with small, calculated strategic steps. It is a consistent strategy that China has indulged in many other territorial issues. Unlike India's robust response and deployment in eastern Ladakh, Bhutan could actually face a rather harsh challenge in countering a possible advancement from China. And we say this with experience because we know how difficult China can be to deal with. In 2017, the Doklam standoff heightened tensions between the two countries, and that lasted 2 months. Contested since the 1962 border war, India, China, Bhutan have been embroiled in a long border issue. We've seen the behavior of China and its push and provocation in Ladakh, in Arunachal Pradesh and other northeastern states. Amid all of this, remember that India has been a steadfast supporter of Bhutan's sovereignty. It has been a friendly nation with Bhutan with regular visits, like recently of Bhutanese King Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. You may also remember this popular visit when External Affairs Minister late Sushma Swaraj had these heartwarming interactions, and the images went viral of her interacting with the royal toddler in 2017. There was such an impact of this friendship that when Sushma Swaraj passed away in 2019, the King of Bhutan lit 1,000 lamps in her memory, reflecting how strong relationship had become between the two leaders and between both countries. Did you know that the Bhutanese queen has also received her education in India? So there are many connections between both nations, not just at a highest diplomatic level, but individual connections too. Now, the calls for diplomatic ties between Bhutan and China and their increasing talks of negotiations have concerned New Delhi. India is concerned about the implications because the construction in Jakarlang reminds us that China may disregard eventually the treaty obligations. It could possibly violate the 1998 peace agreement that was not to alter the status quo. New Delhi will have to be cautious and be on an alert. Bhutan's potential strategic alignment with China may not bode well for India. Recent instances have shown with examples, and I say this for a reason. In March 2023, Bhutanese Prime Minister Lotay Shering's interview with a Belgian newspaper stirred speculation about a potential shift in Bhutan's allegiance. 6 years after Indian and Chinese soldiers, remember, faced off in Doklam, Bhutan's Prime Minister had said that Beijing had an equal say in finding a resolution to the Doklam issue. The remarks had left New Delhi uneasy because for a long time there had been a long-standing alliance with India. The question now that is surfacing, is there a shift, slow and steady, toward China, and how can that be stopped? We also have examples to believe so even more. As per BBC report on 8 February 2022, there was a leaked Nepalese government report accusing China of encroaching even into Nepal along with their shared border. But that is just about what the government may be considering. There have been visible signs of extending dominance in the name of financial assistance by China into Nepal, pushing China's Mandarin language, for example, in schools in Nepal, extending China's communist ideological influence into the only Hindu kingdom country in the world. Amid all of this, what can India do? From Ladakh to the Indian Ocean region, India is expanding its security network to thwart China's moves, step up border infrastructure and troop deployment in Ladakh and in Arunachal Pradesh. You may be surprised to know that these recent satellite images have exposed China's intelligence facility even near the Great Cocoa Island, just 50 kilometers from India's Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So China is attempting incursions and surveillance not just on the mountain border, but even in these areas. From the Galwan Valley in Ladakh to Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh, China is constantly challenging the status quo with India, and the need is to be on constant alert and watch what is happening. Remember, China is investing heavily in Bangladesh too, putting pressure for a naval facility near Chittagong to gain direct access to the Bay of Bengal, preparing ground in Myanmar's Cocoa Island with a potential military use, has leased Sri Lanka's Hambantota port for 99 years, investing strategically and heavily even in the Maldives, even accused of propping up leaders and creating debt dependencies. And you thought that China just provokes India in the Ladakh region. But India has prepared too. S-400 missile defense system has been positioned in Ladakh, Himachal, Uttarakhand and the northeastern states. Neoma airfield in eastern Ladakh has been upgraded, placing jets where they're required and when needed. Deploying Akash missile systems, Garud elite commandos equipped for specialist operations along the line of actual control. And there is a sanction of about 9,000 to 10,000 fresh troops if required for the new border battalions and additional ports in Arunachal Pradesh. As I conclude, remember the difference between China and India's approach. India is deploying heavily and building at the border to keep its own territory safe and also safeguard its people, and rightly so. China, on the other hand, has massive expansion plans constantly with favor or force. China will not stop with India, but is aiming at massive plans across Asia. This means other countries would rather join hands and stand in support with India to ensure respective territories are not swallowed by this dragon. India does not want a potential conflict, but India is ready to fight it out if required. Thank you for watching.